Hey, good Sunday afternoon, Cosmos Nation. I hope that you're enjoying your weekend. You know, whether it's today sitting around, watching the Pats, out doing some yard work, taking a hike with the kids, whatever it is. I hope that you're having a good and relaxing break from the past week. I know when we first were doing COVID, when we were back in March and through March and into the spring, uh, a lot of times you'd hear from me in this type of format, and I've moved away from it a little bit. But with us hitting a really crucial kind of period tipping point for the district in this school year, I thought it was important for me to reach back out in this way. I sent you a letter on Friday, and I wanted to follow up on that letter. The you know, as we went into this school year, the thing that we were trying to do was to follow up on the big goals the school board had set for us during what we knew was going to be an unusual period, and that was keep kids safe, keep staff safe, and then a variety of different things about getting back to doing the work that we do as schools, academic learning, and then creating social emotional growth for our students and preparing them to be the types of adults and contributing citizens we want them to be. So that's been the goal. And as we came in out of in the spring and in the summer, we're doing tons of planning, and we were working with the state government and the federal government, all of our staff, all of you, to kind of look at what are some of the things we could do in order to make sure our first two goals around safety were going to be something that we could hit. So we've been distancing, we've been masking, we've done we have all kinds of cleaning protocols. We've changed things in our ventilation approach. We've done daily screenings of everyone who enters our buildings. There's a whole bunch. That's just the tip of the iceberg. A whole bunch of things that we've been doing to try to make sure everyone's safe when they come to our schools. Now, in the midst of all that, and I think and that's gone reasonably well. We have not had any big issues with COVID positives. We've had some things that we've had to look into and explore, but we've been pretty good on that safety front, on making sure that our school community is safe. At the same time, and I think everybody, staff, families, students, will acknowledge that the way in which we're approaching the rest of what we're trying to do, our normal kind of school stuff, is suboptimal, right? And maybe that's a politically correct way to say it. It's not as good as we want it to be. And it doesn't work as well for students as we want it to work. And that's not because of a lack of hard work. Our staff is working, they're working like dogs. And I can see it in people. People are tired. They're exhausted. They've had to rework what they do in their classrooms. They've had to develop new systems on the fly, and they've had to kind of reconceptualize how they do their work. At the same time, we had holes that we needed to fill from last spring. While that's been going on, we don't have enough substitute teachers to give people the type of breaks they need in the midst of this really, really hard lift. We have staffing positions that are still open that we've been unable to fill. And so what our staff's done is they've just toughed it out. They've just not taken time that they normally would take, and they're in a much, much more difficult kind of situation. So when I say it's suboptimal, it's got nothing to do with our staff, because our staff is going above and beyond the call of duty. And I know you know that. Staff, you know it. Families, you know it. People are working really, really, really hard. And I know families, you're in the same boat. I think most of you know from the spring, I've got a 16 or 12-year-old. And while my kids are not in the Springfield School District, I know how hard we're working as a family to try to kind of keep things together for them, and make sure they get what they need. And even though in the school district they're in, people are working like dogs, they're still not getting what I want them to get. And I'm nervous about it. So in the midst of all that, we're hitting this like really crucial intersection for the school year. I told you in the spring that I needed you to commit through at least the first quarter. If you're a family, that I needed you to commit at least through the first quarter for what the model was going to be that you're going to take. Were you going to take hybrid? Were you going to take remote? And those are your options. And we're coming to the end of the first quarter, and we started to ramp up for getting ready to give you a new choice in line with the first quarter, which has just passed. And the challenge is right as we were starting to ramp up for that, we started to see that this most recent spike around the United States, and an uptick here in Vermont. So that makes it challenging because you have those two things slamming together at the same time. Our desire to get as many kids in person as possible, with what you see is an uptick, in cases around the U.S. Now, the good news is, well, let me start with this. That creates a lot of fear in our system right now. So I have families who are afraid about what that means and about whether or not we can maintain a safe environment, and I have staff who are very afraid of what that means as well. Here, the good news is that, and what we see in Vermont especially, there's very limited. There have been very limited cases in schools, and of the cases that have been in schools, it sounds like to me that people can point to maybe one case where there was a spread within a school, and it was from an adult to an adult, and it was part of the fallout of the hockey situation that people had dealt with, a while ago. So there's not right now, and this is also nationally, not that there's no cases that have been, within schools, but if you look at statistics, schools are doing a better job than other parts of society in keeping people safe. And part of that is because of what I talked about before. When you go to other places in our communities, it's not you walk in the door, you hit this hand sanitizer, you get a health screening, everybody's got PPE, ventilation systems are all retweaked to be in a certain way. That doesn't happen in other places. But in schools, we've been able to do that. Now, part of that is through repurposing the money that we have to do that work. Some of that came from federal stimulus money to help us. Some of that has come with the state helping us around some types of funding and availability. But we're working hard, and so we're in a situation where the schools are are a comparatively safer place than a lot of other places in society. But here's the X factor, which is coming right up and about to hit. And some school districts right around us have come to different conclusions than what I'm coming to at this point. The X factor is Thanksgiving. And that as there's an uptick in cases, and there is that fear, the concern is from parents, I hear it from parents, I hear it from staff, that there are members of our school community who are not going to listen to the governor's order. They're going to travel. They're going to have multi-family holiday gatherings, and then they're going to come right back into our school community. And that scares people a lot because I can control PPE, desks getting wiped down, those types of things. I can't control the actions of all the people in our community. So here's what's important. The governor's order has the force of law. And I know from what we're hearing from kids in class who are a little young and are pretty open about what plans are sometimes, or sometimes I'm hearing it about adults talking about other adults within our school community, that people are like, well, this has been too hard and too long, and I need Thanksgiving, and I need it to be the regular old Thanksgiving, and I'm just going to do it. If that is where you're at, if that's what you feel you need to do, I think there's a trade-off you have to accept. Because we, as a community, if we're going to keep the schools open, and we're going to keep people safe, and we're going to, if that's going to happen, and the governor's talked about this, 3 things he really wants to do: keep kids in school, keep and as much in-person instruction as possible, allow people to continue to go to work, and keep our healthcare system going well. And that everything else is kind of wants right now, until we can get to a vaccine and we get to a place where we can all get back to normal life. If you're going to make the choice, because I don't know that anyone's going to show up on your door, despite the fact that there's a force of law, that you're going to have a multi-family household gathering, or you're going to go travel, you're making an individual choice for you. That's not reflective of what the community is asking you to do. In exchange, here's what I ask you to do: is don't make the individual choice for you and take the community benefit. So if you feel like this is what you need to do and you're going to deal with whatever the consequences are, that's cool. Just don't make everyone else deal with it. All right? That community benefit is sending your kids to school or coming to work here in the school district. So if you're going to go make those choices, keep your kids at home. All right? Quarantine. Keep your kids at home. And we'll see what we can do to help give you an education while that's happening. And then once you get through a quarantine period, come on back. And if you're an adult who's connected with the school district, stay home. All right. We want to keep these schools open for the kids in the community. And I want to keep all the adults who work for us safe. And I need you to make that choice in order to make that happen. Now, other communities around us, now a lot of places around the state are doing something similar. A few communities around us have decided that they can't trust that that's going to happen. I believe that we can make this happen as a community. The people just got to make honest choices, own their choices, and then allow those who are making the choice about keeping schools open and keeping their kids in school, allow them to do that and feel calm about the fact that that's going to be a safe choice. We'll keep monitoring. For those of you who are nervous, we will keep monitoring what's happening with the virus. We'll look at positivity rates. We'll look at what's going on within our own county. We'll keep looking. And if it becomes appropriate for us to go fully remote, we will go fully remote. My commitment to people in the beginning of this was we were going to do all the musts that came down from the state in terms of guidance and all the shoulds. There are some should considers that we don't always do. We think about, we look at. Sometimes they're not feasible, but the musts and the shoulds we continue to do. So, and with that in mind, I'll tell you the other thing that I know that I need to step back on based on conversations that I've had with my principals, with my staff, that I think my mid-December, is the earliest possibility. Is a little overly ambitious in terms of the fact that might be when the switch is going to happen to a new model choice. I'm still going to send you the survey. We're still going to collect that information, but it's going to take us a little while to keep an eye on this on the spike we're going through. Thoughtfully redesign how we're doing things. And what I would anticipate now, just so you can plan, is that the shift that might happen, we would now look at K-5 would probably happen pretty close to right after Christmas vacation. And the high school, middle school switch would happen when it makes sense to do that, which is at the turn of the semester. So those are the things to anticipate. In the meantime, we're also looking we're exploring the possibility of bringing back some students who are really struggling to get them in more days a week. But that's the plan. So, okay, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm sorry if this felt preachy. Not trying to be preachy. I'm just trying to keep your kids safe, and I'm trying to keep the staff safe. And I'm trying to keep our schools open. So I hope you'll work with me to do that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and that you have a really good holiday, even if it's not exactly what we all would like it to be. All right, take care.